Cool. Hi, Jamie. This is question 15153. So let's look at let's look at the question very quickly. 153. We have we're talking about a business called Centipede, and Centipede. I know you did this quite a while ago, um, but this is good revision as well because as you're looking back, you'll see. But again, like I say, your work is quite good. So here we are. Wholesalers, they sell packaged material, packaged goods, selling through their website. Generally, I guess an audit risk is really a controls risk because when you're having things being sold, this is another thing we'll talk about. They don't seem to talk about it so much, but selling through the website, I guess, really the back office managing the process. But let's kind of I always whenever I see a website, I'm always just alert. Right. In terms of protection, firewalls, if you like, access to the information, things like that. So where are we? New client, always a risk. Understanding the business, so you want your most experienced or suitably experienced staff to go in there. Professional skepticism. So natural risk number one, just as important as all the others. And let's again quickly run through some of the issues here. Um, Typically, they do a monthly. I actually think these are quite good. These monthly perpetual inventory counts. So we're just trying to make sure in terms of completeness. So big issues here: completeness, existence. And so what we're hoping is that what we physically see is what's physically on ground is equates what's on paper, on the inventory records, which is why we're doing this. And we're looking for exceptions. So that's what's really happening here. But we see that there's a difference between the physical and the inventory records, which highlights, if you like, control issues. So the question is, to what extent can we rely on that, if you like? So this is about completeness now, isn't it? And technically valuation, but completeness. So for valuation, we will test separately using just NRV, cost versus NRV. So when discussing, the assistant was informed there's a recurring issue all year. So that is that's the risk. The risk here is, can we rely on those controls? Can we rely on completeness? There's a risk of completeness. Some lines. So here again, of course, evaluation risk of the fact is you have goods that have been there for 90 days. So discuss whatever with management how we're going to deal with these. Do we need to write these down? Where I guess evidence looks post year end. Have they moved? They still haven't moved. Sorry, you need to possibly write this down. Inventory possibly overstated. So the language again, which you are doing anyway already, is highlighting this question of overstatement. Head office field work, 4 additional sites that you haven't been able to visit. So I guess it's a question of materiality um, and controls. So all you seem to be having is just the information just being told to you. So what you really want to see is you want to go in there and you want to be able to actually look at the process and the controls to be able to trust that the information that's coming through is good. So I guess it's really well, when I say good, that there are no errors in the collection of that data because all you're getting are final figures, you see. Um, so there's an issue there, I guess. The question is materiality, how big those sites are. I guess the argument is, in this world of IT, you could, from where you are, kind of use a spider way. When I say a spider diagram, or when I say spider way, I mean using cats. I would think of it as spiders. From where you are, you can just almost plug into people's systems from where you are and still look at how they arrive at their actual figures, right? So you can almost basically look at their ledgers using IT. Right. So then there's this question of disposal again. So fifth site was closed down, and if a fifth site was closed down, we're really talking about the fact that we want it off our non-current asset register. Again, legal issues. Again, so nothing untowards. We seem to again repeat, if you like, of almost. And these are past exam papers, so we're expecting to see this type of thing here. So disclosures, the separate list, and it says that they required. I actually think that typically the names of the directors and remuneration is typically always disclosed. Um, Yes. So which does not require, but this does. So they should comply. Right, brilliant. And then they want you to put together some ratios for 6 marks. And again, so this is discuss matters which should have been considered prior to accepting the audit of Centipede. I'm just thinking, do I do it here very quickly? Just to, well, no, I mean, maybe I'll just do this quickly and let's see if I go back, if I can get to a textbook quickly, just because um, I have what, 5 minutes. So let's go back here. Um, Here we are. 1 second. Second. It's just to show you this, but I'm sure again, like I say, you're doing well anyway. I'm just gonna go in here and pick this up. So this is ethics and planning, table of contents. Let me go to there and see very quickly, just show that you um, ethics and acceptance. Here we are. I think that was the question. I think the question was um, matters. That's right. Before we accept, so really matters of acceptance. And so let us look again here. We look at matters of acceptance. Here we are. Matters of acceptance. Where are we? 1 second. Here we are. Here we are. Matters of acceptance. So these are things to think about. And again, I'm sure I'm going to look at your work in a second, but these are the areas we're thinking about. I highlighted again, preconditions are actually a separate topic. This question of frameworks and management responsibility for internal controls, as well as the access to all the data. Professional clearance, of course, speaking to the previous auditors, and all these issues here, money laundering, you could really pick a reputation of the client. There's a lot. Right, so let's go. So let's jump into this. I think, have I talked about, oh, here we are. So those are the questions, and I think we've discussed the issues again. So let's look at your work very quickly here. So discuss the matters prior to accepting the audit. New client, um, yes, skills. Whether you have the professional, I think that we have something here. Professional competence. Are you able to actually carry out this work? Very good. Resources, of course, very important. Fees, perfect. And contact. So professional clearance. So some good work there for 5 marks, and I'm pleased. I think I think you've nailed it there. And that's good. And you start your ratios, and all these are all these are a good reminder of the ratios, and that's, oops, sorry, again, I always forget to chuck in the pen. There we are. These are all good. Good, 6 out of 6. Good. So using a combination of ratios that you've been given and also looking at the information that you have, you attack the next question on audit risk. And good. So again, new, always an issue, right? A team made up of with relevant experience. Perfect. Very good. Um, Inventory records, again, yes, this is the question of overstatement. We talk about that. May be performed. That's true. You might go with that because you seem it's tricky, right? You can't almost rely on these controls. 90 days review, slow moving, that's right. And then we see good, and you're now combining that in addition to the additional information you have. So there does seem to, so it almost tells you to real good analysis when you really requires a breakdown, doesn't it? There might even be some stock even for more, with sitting there with more days. Um, then 4 sites cannot be visited. So let's see what your thoughts were on that. Detection risk, yes, that's right. Control risk, good. Yes, yes, you'd have to visit, and samples could be performed of the monthly to see the transfer. I guess you could always examine the journals coming through or the documents coming through. But as I highlighted, I guess your response is to assess materiality. and think how important are those areas, what journals are really coming through. I don't know, for example, I guess let's just pretend that we have revenue 1, 2, revenue 3, revenue 4, and you have the main office revenue 5. If these aren't material, then you're not too worried. If they are material, you kind of do want to understand the controls, because that's what you're doing, right? You're depending your dependence on controls determines to what degree you accept that final figure. Ultimately, you're just accepting an assertion about these final figures, just accepting them. So the question is, before I accept these figures, what's behind the figure? So I must look at controls first and then carry out some testing, if you like, still some um, test of detail to still accept that these figures did occur and are accurate. So, quick ratios, yes, they do decline. So we have going concern. Perfect. You picked it up very well from your ratios. Um, so we have this question about this engagement in this legal issue here. Disclosure, critical, very good. And the lawyers, again, very good. This question of disclosures here, brilliant. And then, yes, this last question was this question. I remember I gave you guys a scenario where I said to you that um, Enron, sorry, EY, your people actually had this issue with Pepsi and Coca-Cola many years ago in terms of accepting an audit. So they had to drop Pepsi. I think they had to drop Pepsi, and they went with Coca-Cola. I think so. But the key point here is that if you're going to be taking on two competitors, you must really there are a couple of conflict. There's a conflict of interest in terms of will the information or who or the team, confidentiality is the big issue here, really. You know, and being an auditor, you have access to very relevant, important, highly confidential information. So there's a risk of a leak. So really, I guess before you can take this on, you want to make everyone aware. Good. Contact both firms, different engagement teams, Chinese walls, if you like, and then store this information. Very good. Secure data. And then they sign confidentiality agreements. So some very good work here as well. Cool. Great stuff. See you in the next question.